Ba-da-ba-ba. Got Asiatic mathematics, the wordsmith. Black Justice, the other AC, SW, Justice Born. I've been with anybody who was on my Instagram. You said that uh, I posted about how they painted Black Lives Matter on the floor on the street in front of a law school. They painted it red, black, and green. So I've been wise I've been kind of front and center with the Black Lives Matter people, and a lot of people have been making a lot of comments, about how they see Black Lives Matter. You see what I'm saying? SW said, "Who's behind it?" Um, I mean, on a lot of different levels. Because on the one hand, you could say Soros is behind it. Now, I don't think RBG in particular was behind it. You see, that was another thing that happened. When they came at first, right, they came and just put the primer down. They put the first coat, just some white paint. They put the outline, the letters in it. And then today, what it was is the I Sun God. Today, what happened was the what they call it, the major nine or something. The what is it? Who is 793rd? You know what I'm talking about. That they got like a first nine. I think they call it the Divine Nine. I think that's the name for it. And they like the first nine fraternities and sororities. So they all came out today. In each fraternity, each sorority, right? Each fraternity and each sorority, and then they had a couple of other groups that was out there, right? Each of them painted one letter. So on a certain level, the fraternities, the Greeks was behind it. Jasim came in. So, a lot of people, I said, have been making comments in general. We need to do the each one, teach one, and hit that like button too, because maybe it's because it's Friday night. People just got paid. But it doesn't look like my alerts are going out. Now, that's the one that's in front of a law school. What they did is they blocked off both sides of the street between 125th Street, between 125th Street and and 127th Street. So they painted Black Lives between 127th and 126th, and Matter is between 126th and 125th. So on our side of the street, 5% is the Law and Justice Square. It's red, black, and green. Now on the other side of the street, right, over by the state office building, where they got the Black Lives, it's like Paisley. The Talented Nine, and I think you're talking about the Talented 10th. Let's see, the 793rd came in right as I spoke on it, right? D Christian, somebody hit me on Instagram asking about brothers to build with in Washington State. I think he's in Seattle. Saturday night, Thursday, they bombing the street. I mean, I guess you could call it that. Yeah, listen. Tomorrow we partying again. We partying again tomorrow, D Christian. Hot tag. Wordsmith said, I seen a European lady wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt. You know, I got it. What's his name? Looks like he's at Carlos Clark. At Smart Choice Cleaning. Hopefully he comes in. I sent him. I told him that I'm coming on live right now. But you know, oh, there you go, right there, Carlos Clark. The brother that's right above you, Ayazid 7. He's out in Washington State. I think where you at? You in Olympia though, right? You said. Queen Mecca. They actually let you get a comment They actually let your comments stay on. Got people want to play games, man. So many crazy messages over here. Shaquem came in. You know, I was with the guy Rahim today. No, Rashim from Ebbets Field. I was with the I was with the guy from Ebbets Field today, Shaquem. Shaquem, I had to think. I had to think about you. Oh man, Raphael Arroyo said after the gay pride flag with George Floyd picture, I got no more respect for the movement, for real, for real. Now look, that's one of the questions that I got. Can we separate uh can we separate the ultimate goal of the movement, right? Can we now this is not Wise though. Wise is another brother that's out there. Yazid will be able to get you in touch with Wise. You know what I'm saying? Uh, can we separate? Oh, there go Wise right there. You know, I might as well just start saying names today. Everybody I mentioned, they come right on. But can we separate the the ultimate goal of the movement, right, from each individual action of the movement? Like, let's look at it in a different context, right? You know, let's say you have, a gang member, but he helps an old lady across the street, or he helps an old lady with her groceries. You know, she's coming back from shopping. Peace, peace. What's going on? Can we separate that action that he does when he helps, an elder in the community from the other things that he's doing, or that he might be doing, depending upon which, what he's a part of out there in the streets. Why you said dance with the devil? How you see that? Uh, in what aspect do you mean dancing with the devil? Why I said I guess you'd have to say it depends on who sees the good or bad. The old lady would have known him to be a good young man. Does anyone else have an insight on that? And in what aspect do you mean dancing with the devil, Waju? So yeah, why I said I guess you'd have to say it depends on who sees the good or bad. The old lady would have known him to be a good young man, whereas his ops would see him as an enemy and devil. But is it possible, right? You know, they could be, they could have whatever agenda they have. Wait, what's this? Archon and Arcusace, demons, black men and women serve the white global elite. Who is who is Archon and Arcusace? What's going on, Waju? But nobody's answering the question that I just asked. Is it possible to separate their ultimate goal from every action that they make? Raphael Arroyo said most of these movements for are financed by the white dudes like George Soros and the others. They look real for most people, but in reality they got this hidden agenda. As you said, they they're the Boule 10% Council of Nobles advising the king. True self. Like wise you said, the white elite. You're saying that this is who? You know, I don't really the word is not respect. I don't see Masons as really smart people. Not smart is not the word, but so this Masonic stuff that y'all be saying is, Masonry is not that high power to me. The only power in Masonry is the secrecy. Shakim said, "Who's they?" So Wise said, "Yes, you can separate individual actions, right, from the agenda." Yeah, SW. You see and listen. SW said right here, Masonry is nothing more than a social group to me. A lot of people are spooked out. Listen, I'm telling y'all, my grandmother was a worthy matron. She was the head of the lodge. And there was nothing in the amongst her books. I read a couple of her stuff. There was nothing in there that was on a level even with 120. So all of these councils and this type of stuff. Who do you think these people are? Yeah, the black flags, frats, and sororities. It's a social group. Like SW said, you don't think Masons control the world. So what is this council about? And this ruler that they're consulting. What is that about? See, if you notice, right, the title of today's live, right, Black Lives Matter, pro righteousness, anti devilishment, right, and the wrong side of history. See, in the final, when you weigh it and judge it, I won't even say the final, but as you weigh and judge it, right, are these rebellions righteous or devilishment? Is the the kind of rallying call that Black Lives Matter, is that righteous or devilishment? You understand what I'm saying? And if you say ultimately that you want them to stop saying that Black Lives Matter, right? Then what side of history do you think you're on? Like, how would that work out? Like, should we, I'm saying, let's look at the outcome. Should we say, listen, you know what? Let Chauvin out of jail. The officer that shot Breonna Taylor doesn't get his job back. What side of history would you feel that you on? Or would you, in your view, what side of history would you be on to say that? I've been using this example ever since this thing that, Black Lives Matter is really behind all of this, right? In Antifa. Would you have stayed on the plantation in 1865 because the Union in the Union Army did not have an agenda that had your best interests in mind? When, just now, right, we celebrated Juneteenth. Do you think that those brothers should have said, nah, we're going to stay on the plantation? Because we realize that y'all ultimate goal, right, is not beneficial for us. So remember, if from no other thing than inactivity, right, looking the other way, the North was complicit in Jim Crow. See, in many ways, Jim Crow is worse in the North than it was in the South. See, in the North, it would have been difficult to build any type of, Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's be aware that these places, a lot of these places where the Black people was thriving was in the South. Because in the North, right, you wasn't going to get no land because of redlining. You wasn't going to be able to build up your own community because of the constraints that's in the North on original people, on them building wealth. Like, that was actually an agreement between the North and the South. Is, listen, don't tell us how to deal with our Black people down here. And if you notice, that side of the civil rights fight, meaning your George Wallaces and your Bull Connors, that was always their rallying cry. That, yo, it's a whole bunch of people from the North coming down here starting trouble with our original people. So I'm saying, under that circumstance, when we looked at, listen, the North, right? A lot of the things that happened in the North, right, broke down the family unit in the same way that a lot of people, one of their main issues with Black Lives Matter, right, is that they kind of anti the nuclear family. So I'm saying, just in terms of, analyzing it, where do we draw the line at? For me, I draw the line at understanding that I'm me and they're them. Like, it's different things. Like, look, this is New York. So I may go into a store, right? And it may be an individual that I don't agree with his way of life or her way of life. Do I walk out of the store and say, no, I'm not buying anything from this establishment because of that? L. Lowry. We gotta get L7 in here. We had the new L brothers. Like, where, anybody can answer those questions. Would you have said that? Would you have said, when that general, hold on 1 second, y'all. What's that? Fireworks? What is that? Where would, when that general, right, from the Union Army made it to the other side of the Mississippi, right, and told the brothers, look, you can leave the plantation now, you're free to go. Would you have said, no, I don't want to do that? Because I know that JP Morgan and Rockefeller and, the Rothschilds banking institution, right? I know that they got something to do with this. They're the ones who's backing certain things. They're the ones who's, stand to benefit from this. The corporate interests of the North, right, who is battling against this other economic system of slavery, right? This was ultimately about them. Even if you want to say they fought the Civil War over slavery, it wasn't over the slaves. It was over slavery as an institution, as an economic strategy. Are we going to continue to use it or not? So what will we say? Because see, ultimately, you come down to a form of prejudice. Love, no question. I was turned up. Love, you're gonna be out there tomorrow at the memorial for Great Mind. It's gonna be in the style. I'm gonna be out there tomorrow. It's gonna be litty. It's gonna be litty once again. But ultimately, would you say that? Like right now, and see, this is another thing that I keep saying to everyone, right? What are you going to do? What's the alternative that you providing? Like any other progress that has been made, right? Are you willing to give it up and say, no, we're going to go back to the plantation because ultimately the Union had ulterior motives for freeing us? Is there anyone in the room that would have told that general when he got to the other side of the Mississippi to tell the brothers out there that slavery was over? How many people here would have said no? Because I know what your ultimate goal is. Like Jesse said, the South was getting more money than the North. The reason for the Civil War, magnetic came in. But my question is not rhetorical. Umala, if you're talking about Umala, wise, so all in the business saying that he went and licked that gift horse in the mouth. What's the other alternative to just go back to the status quo? Umala is a memorial is planned for him by his family, but the rebellion has thrown the date back. El Lowry said, when you talk about going back to slavery, I would not do that. I believe it does not help, as building the nation for original people forward is the only direction. So this is what I'm saying. How much of this progress do we give back, right? Because we don't like the people, we don't like the agenda of the people who came up with the Black Lives Matter slogan. And there's many things like that. Not just Black Lives Matter. Like, do you refuse to take $20 bills because Andrew Jackson was a racist? Right, D. Christian. This is one phrase that I was about to use. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Because see, there's another way to look at this, which y'all might not like. See, maybe if you have, right, if you have a super big problem with Black Lives Matter to the level that you don't want to accept any help from them, you don't want to accept any of the things that they're doing as being authentic in any way, there's another way to look at it. That maybe you need to be ashamed that you with all your grand knowledge and wisdom, you with all your knowledge and wisdom, you didn't start no movement that got these officers arrested. Maybe you should be ashamed to say you got a large mathematics where you can analyze all this stuff about who they are and what they about, but yet you can't analyze a solution that you yourself can apply. How about that? Fly phrase. What it says here, L. Larry, I would give you all back because one organization does not hold the power. The power is with the people. You got some kind of typo in the beginning here. As long as we claim and keep a hold of our power, we can do anything. So how about that? See, because ultimately, this is what I'm saying. I cannot exist in y'all world where y'all keep telling me, well, not y'all, but I can't exist in the world where people keep telling me about how powerful everyone else is, right? And there's never any recourse for me. Like if you think, right, that they doing all of this, right, as a hoax to get you to get vaccinated, right? What are you doing? What's your move? What's your move that you making? If we control all that above, then what's your move? What's the counter? 793rd exactly. If you thinking that they're going to institute martial law, what steps have you been taking to negate that? Or we just waiting for the wave to come in? There's got to be a solution, because you know you don't want to do that. You don't want to spend all your brain power analyzing the problem. And I'm gonna tell you something. You get into the realm with some things, right? With overthinking. And so your ability to analyze the enemy and how good he is at what he does ends up planting fear in your own self. Because when you get into the battle, you're thinking about everything that can happen to you. And you ain't thinking nothing about what you're going to do. What's going to happen to that side for approaching you like that. So like right now, if somebody told you, "Yo, I'm punching your face," do you have a plan? I mean, I know everybody got plans to get hit. But we're not talking about that right now. what would be your plan? Right? Why I said we could take the best part and leave the rest alone. 793rd said paralysis of so-called analysis. I've heard this phrase before, but I'm glad you brought it up right here. So just any individual, you know what I'm saying? You know, right now, what would you replace Black Lives Matter with? Feeling good, said, who's gonna punch me in the face? You better hit me dead because he can't take my punch. You see what I'm saying? So it didn't take long for the reaction to that threat to come to the forefront. But what would we replace Black Lives Matter with? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Who is this Z McLeod? You want to play? Tommy Robinson? Oh, that's Teeth. This your Facebook. This your Facebook jump off over here. Now Larry said, I think I see what you're saying. We have to give something to get something. Yeah. And that's something, you know, keep it 100. That something might be your life. You know, there's a saying, I think it's from Eastern philosophy, I think from China, I'm not sure. But there's a saying that a man who says that something can't be done needs to get out of the way of the man who's doing it. Nobody needs you to stand there and say, hey, that can never happen. No, it's not going to work. At the end of the day, you're going to end up on the wrong side of history if that's your mentality. Because see, you got, you know, well, in my travels, right, I've run into people that have a whole list of things that I don't do that. Now I don't protest. Now I don't get in groups, Black Lives Matter. I don't rock with them. Now I own this, I own that. Everything is what you don't do, though. What about what you do? And I don't mean number two. (793rd) said, I say so-called, listen, because that's been the wave to preach and sermonize all over the net, social media and such, Alex Jones style, yet no concrete follow through, plan, or action, or even mental solutions, other than staying prayed up, kumbayaing, and doing rituals of the past. Tommy Robinson, my pops used to say, you got to bring some ass to kick some ass. Atif said, anything the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But are people really using their mental power to conceive? You know, this thing where you're doing, where you analyzing all of the issues and, you know, you going back and you telling me, you know, all these laws on the books and this and that. I mean, that's fine and good. But you're not really conceiving that. That's just something you're repeating. But at the bottom, at the end of the day, man, let me tell you something that I always said. You know what I mean? They always said, a fool, a wise man can play the part of a fool, but a fool can never play the part of a wise man. Yeah, all right. But a fool can never play the part of a wise man. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, these type of sayings where you can say, yo, you fooled me once, but you can't fool me twice. And see, one thing I always said is that anybody that try to fool me is the real fool. You got to be a fool to attempt to fool God. To attempt to fool someone who has command over supreme mathematics from knowledge to born. Hey, listen, man. I was raised by the firstborn, man. I'm not from outside the holy city, my G. That's a fool's errand. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, you know, certain in any form, it could be in sports, certain plays that you could get off in high school and college, you can't get that off in the pros. You could be boxing. It's certain sucker punches you might get people to fall for that in the amateurs. You ain't going to, you ain't knock nobody out. You might tap somebody, you know, 1 or 2 times, but that's not going to be effective against the real deal. So now my point is, you know, I mean, look, I got some history, man, where I spent some time out there in the streets, man. And one thing I know is that you ain't the only one that can control and manipulate. So just because they have this agenda that's what they want to do, who's to say they're going to be successful at that? How does this idea already get born? I can see it being manifested from a precaution state of mind that, yo, you know, be aware of, you know, who we got on the left side of us. But just like with everything else, man, when, you know, just the streets, would they take, oh, you got guns? Got guns too. They didn't stop making them when they made yours. So this is what I'm saying. If we got supreme intelligence and somebody scheming against us, and we stop our thought process as this is what they're going to do, I don't see how the implication there is not that this other being is smarter and more powerful than you. Mr. Green once said, to quote Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it is done. Yeah, the rally in Medina was peace. Everything, you know, it was lovely. All in the business say got a hit from different angles. What angles is Black Lives Matter really coming from? they coming from a standpoint that the system is oppressing people, right? And in there, from what I don't know, I'm not one of them, so I can't really tell you 100% what they think. But I'm saying that the way it's presented, the way I see it, they see their way of life, right, as another way of life that's being oppressed by the system, by the authorities, by the powers that be, by the corporate, the corporate economic structure of America. So their thing, them, Antifa, these groups that's supported by George Soros, their thing is, if any opportunity or any reason that we get to destroy that system, we're going to take that opportunity and that reason. Like they want, they have a communist, they got communist leanings. And they standpoint is, look, it's on site, dog. When I see you, we getting it in. You know what I'm saying? We ripping your statues down, we burning your stores, whatever it is. That's their angle that they coming from. And so now this what they want to do, right, is co-op onto that moment, right? Because see, now here's where I would disagree with them. Because the oppression, right, against the black man is so strong, much stronger than a lot of these other people that want to say they oppress and they need to, use our tactics in order to destroy that oppression. We're going to always be the biggest, the most stuff happens to us, to the black man and the black woman. So that's going to always be something that people who want to destroy the system, they always want to try to rally around that. Like I said, they want to control and manipulate it. You see, because I understand that this is their angle, I don't have to be controlled and manipulated. D Christian brought up predictive programming. I heard this term before, but what is predictive programming? Well, it appears that way. Magnetic is asking if everything is official in terms of the rallies. I would still say play it by ear. It appears to be that everything is loosened up, but I would still play it by ear. Make some phone calls or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and verify that it's going to be a rally. Well, as you say, got to reach the babies before the system engages them with the wrong foods. Now, look, this is one of the things that I said, right? Now, look, there's people, like, for instance, Saladin, we brought Saladin on. See, supporting Saladin, right, is what I'm saying, that's a real plan. Where he has the skills, he's got the know-how, now he's got the building, he's got the children that he's going to teach and everything, and he's involved with early childhood education. So you gotta remember, some of the things that everybody says ends up being slogans, man. We gotta teach the babies. We gotta teach the baby. Okay, when's the last time you even spoke to somebody under 20? Just a regular conversation. Just said peace when they walk past. How many times did you do that? D. Christian, can you expand on this predictive programming? So that's my point. Is that look, I don't support that. A lot of stuff what they saying, I don't support it. But see, when I say, like for instance, right, when people say they doing all this so they can vaccinate the people, I already told y'all, man, I haven't been vaccinated since the early 90s. My children don't have any vaccinations. So see, to me, you can't be a person, right, who you send your kids to school, right, and they all vaccinated. They got the full rounds of vaccination, but then now you scared of vaccinations? Now you scared of vaccinations. When you voluntarily took your child down there, looking a lot of kids when you got your kids down there, your kids didn't even want to go through with this. Your kids is crying, man. I don't want to get stabbed. And you tell them to toughen up and take their shot like a man. But now you scared of the vaccinations. Yeah, see, Magnetic saying, you recall I was big on not doing no vaccinations since the 90s, man. It's like when you say martial law, listen, as far as I'm concerned, there's never been a point in time in American history, not even American history, in the wilderness of North American history, meaning not just the country United States of America. Because you gotta remember, that's something America is from. Actually, I wouldn't even say, America is from 1776. But there's history that was lived out here between the original people and the colored people before that even happened. And in all of that history, that entire time, you could be killed if you were a nigga. In that entire time, that's been the case. There's never been a time when we wasn't under martial law. So I don't, now all of a sudden you scared. That is what is going to be martial law, you tell me. That somebody could be choked out, right, over a fake $20 bill, right? That's never been produced. See, I'm big on that part. All right, where's the $20? Where's the pack of cigarettes? Where's the gun you said you thought you saw? So now you never even produced this stuff that you claim is the reason that you did what you did to the person, right? You killed this person. But somehow you think martial law hasn't set in yet. Like, is there a particular way that you think the martial law looks? Like, what is the condition that you're saying is going to be different about martial law than now. What they're gonna put us in camps? What you think your neighborhood is? Unless you live in some mixed community. But even if you do, you know that the masses of the people is in these camps. Some of the camps is more restrictive than others. When you start getting into the projects and things of that nature. But these things don't happen in the white community because they're not inside the camp. See, has anyone ever noticed the difference, right? All in the business, a lot of brothers on the West Coast, and I don't know the whole condition that was going on over there. You know what I'm saying? I don't wanna belittle what struggle that people went through. But has anybody ever seen the internment camps from World War II for the Japanese? The Japanese people was put into military internment camps during World War II because the American government didn't trust them because they had just, Japan had just attacked them. And what I'm saying specifically, why I'm bringing that up, is I'm saying, have you ever noticed the difference between that and the internment camps that you see in places like Palestine or certain parts of Africa where people is running from wars and they in these military internment camps? What I'm saying is that, the way the camp looks, don't be fooled by that. They got pictures of it. I seen like people telling their story, dudes who was like, yeah, I was like 7 or 8 when we got put in the camp. And they talk about, how they went to school, and lived there, whatever, until the time came when they was able to get out. Yeah, the conditions might be a little bit better, but that's the same thing as when you're dealing with the feds in the state. You're still in jail. But depending upon which one you go to, you might have a little, easier ride. But don't let that fool you into thinking you're not in jail. So, someone who holds this mentality, I'm saying, what's the difference between what's happening right now and the martial law that you're speaking on? See, because remember, in New York, we had martial law after 9/11. It was military on the streets with assault rifles. There was whatever you call them, military vehicles, armor withstanding vehicles was on the streets in New York. And guess what? And it wasn't really no difference. We still went back and forth and did what we did, but you just knew that, if something stupid right now happens, the wrong thing, these cats are going to blow you away. But it really was no different because the regular NYPD is already like that. How many of y'all knew that the NYPD is officially a part of Homeland Security? Or at least they got a anti-terrorist, some type of unit or something like that, they call it, that is a part of Homeland Security. So how you going to say it's not already martial law in New York? All in the business says so. I guess he said Black Lives Matter, saying we are all slaves while using black people for the picture logo. Yeah, because you got to remember that's a part of the communist. Like that's a part of the mind state. D. Christian said it's a means of using movies, books, media, etc. to make society more planned events. Example 2000, the world is ending. 2012, end of the world, behold a pale horse. People start to make that their reality. How certain things is different now. And he brought up a point that we wasn't really taught this apocalyptic stuff that y'all talking about. Like, you know, Allah came, you know, the way it was manifested to us is that we're the saviors of the world. That the people who's trying to do the oppression and trying to, you know, do all the apocalyptic shit. And now we're here to save the people. See, the degrees that I learned, right? You know, the brother was pointing out, is that, listen, man, for all my people on here that know 120, what's the 40th degree? What's the 40th degree? See, there's some key terminology in that degree. I mean, there's key terminology in every degree, but I'm saying in specifically referencing to what I'm talking about right now. Larry said, when we are a slave to emotion, we are a slave to what they're doing to us. P. Foster, all in the business that has been martial law on us. Think about it. They said in the Constitution that if we break a law, they can put us back in legal slavery called jail. Mass incarceration is a union idea. Yeah. The first jail was in Pennsylvania prison. I think it's Eastern State Penitentiary. Why I said there's a large, he's saying that the one in the internment camps, I said they on the West Coast because, you know, there's more Asian people, they closer to the West Coast. So he's saying that one of these internment camps where they put the Japanese is 15 miles from where he rests, that they turned it into a fairgrounds now. All in the business said, they said we have the right to free speech, but when you speak freely, they come to kill, not just fight, kill. Y'all never, you never heard of the Japanese internment camps? Yeah, they locked them up. It's, it's one of them things, that's seen as part of the racist history of America, because they didn't lock up the Italians and they didn't lock up the Germans. So that's one of them things that's seen, uh, we're not necessarily advocates of this term, but people of color. That's how they, would word it in this day and time. The wordsmith said, I'm over here looking at the BLM official website. I was unaware that they were an actual organization. I just assumed they were just random people with similar ideas. Yeah, but see, I'm gonna tell you something. The name of their movement is not Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a hashtag that they started putting on posts about Trayvon Martin. And eventually that hashtag caught on at a higher level than whatever is the actual name of their organization. You know what I'm saying? And what their actual goals are. But like I said, their goal is to destroy the kind of corporate structure that's oppressing everything, right? And, kind of every time they see the system as rearing its ugly head. So you got to know about the intersectionality. I don't know if y'all know about the intersectionality. We can get into it. But it's dealing with the intersectionality. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of, and then that's another thing, a lot of this stuff is based on, I wouldn't say it's based on Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther King made a statement, right? I think it was Martin Luther King where he said, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, or something of that nature. So in other words, anytime we see somebody being oppressed, we've got to stand with them. And for instance, I don't know if, I watch the hip hop news too. You know what I'm saying? And recently I saw a story where Royce the 5'9", right? He made a statement, Black trans lives matter. And the article was kind of about how he wouldn't have made a statement like that in the past, but that through building with different people, he realized that, this is what he's saying, he realized that he has to stand with any oppressed people. Tommy Robinson said FEMA camps. Chief said they got babies in cages. I mean, look, in terms of that stuff, like I told people, look, I'm from the hood. You understand what I'm saying? So, most people that is from a similar situation, right? Most people that's from a similar situation can understand the concept of, doing things that may be against the law in order to have it come up, just to have regular quality of life. You may cross the line sometimes. So I understand that part. But at the end of the day, ain't no smile on no Rikers Island. And don't do the crime if you can't do the time. That was the sayings on the street when I was coming out the house. You know what I'm saying? Whatever's going on between them, like I said, that's between them and the people who's advocating them to come over here. But you know, when they left their country, they already knew what was going to happen, or they knew what was the possibilities. As W said, he thinks it's other states that also have units in their regular police department that's part of Homeland Security. Wordsmith said, I don't really watch the news like that. The only time I hear about this stuff is on your stream. I guess you have minutes to the news as well. See, I don't watch the news so much. I read it. You know, I don't even me personally, I don't even watch TV in general. Right now, see now Asiatic mathematics. You got to speak that language, right? You got to speak that language. You know, I told you I'm not smart enough to speak this anagram language too. I need to just deal with the regular stuff. You know, so the regular word, like you said, the question is, what would be your rewards in regards to the destruction of the devil? See, in the lessons, it says things like the hereafter, seeing the hereafter. These kind of apocalyptic stuff was not the teachings that I received. You understand what I'm saying? But when it says, what will be your rewards in regards to the destruction of the devil, the first thing it tells you is peace and happiness. Not all this apocalyptic, you know, this stuff, you know, from Dante. I don't know if y'all familiar with Dante. Dante was some kind of priest or something. He was a priest, I think, in the 700s or the 800s. And he wrote a book or a story called Dante's Inferno. And that's where the visions of what hell is like comes from. And all of that people burning in the hellfires and all that, that's not in the Bible. That stuff comes from Dante. People is going to burn in hell and it's going to be this war of Armageddon and all this stuff. That's not our teachings. Okay, Mr. Green one is familiar. He got the quote down pat. He said that it is Martin Luther King, when he was locked up in Birmingham jail, said injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutually tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. So this is the angle, right? This is one of the mindsets of Black Lives Matter. You understand what I'm saying? And one of their hopes is that everyone else will see their cause, right, in that same type of light. They'll see their cause as, okay, this is injustice somewhere, right? And so it's a threat to us for them to be a threat. Why I said, yeah, people love to take some of MLK's least radical ideas. I mean, you know, that's been kind of the practice. You know, Martin Luther King was possibly the most hated man in America. I mean, I'm saying he's of all time. People that they hated Martin Luther King. He writing all letters to his wife, Joy, type of thing. They hated Martin Luther King. At one time, J. Edgar Hoover said Martin Luther King was the most dangerous man in America. But they whitewashed it. Like I told you, I saw a documentary one night, and it was, at first it was, they was talking about, him being in the street, him becoming Muslim, different people that knew him during the time he was in the NOI and all of that. They was coming on speaking about their experiences with him. But then at the very end, I'm pretty sure he was the last person that spoke. It was a white guy. And he was talking about how ultimately Malcolm X came around to, seeing that, white people were good. And basically he was saying that the NOI, that Malcolm X was too intelligent for his mind to be contained in a limited concept such as the NOI. But just like if you recall a couple years ago, it was the anniversary for the March on Washington. And you had all these people come out saying, the March on Washington, it really was about workers' rights. It was about unionized labor. It wasn't really about black people. It wasn't really about civil rights. But the way to negate that is teaching the history. You know what I'm saying? About his whole journey to, going that nonviolent route. Halftime said an interesting thing about this is that they're blurring the lines between struggles that are very different, all in the name of getting everyone to stand up against injustice everywhere. Yeah, that's with the intersectionality. Does anybody know what the intersectionality? That's W says spooky. So Fly Phrase said that's what BLM is on now. They got a commercial out supporting black trans people. I mean, that's what they've been supporting the whole time. You know what I'm saying? It's not that they on it now, you know what I'm saying? But now's the time they got to take the shot. Meaning that the movement has gained enough power, enough, kind of cultural currency, right? That now they can start to present some of these other ideas. You understand what I'm saying? Like they feel like as if they built up a good enough rapport that, now people are going to see them as people who stood up with them, right, against the intersectionality, as opposed to, I guess, culturally different groups. So Queen Mecca, I guess she's saying she's familiar with Dante's Inferno. Why I said, do you think they hated on him more than Honorable Elijah Muhammad or Malcolm? Well, for me personally, right, I don't know how many white people know about Elijah Muhammad. You know, like Elijah is important to us because we had a knowledge, but I'm saying I don't recall knowing who Elijah Muhammad was. You know, like, and in fact, that was something that used to bother me when I was a real little kid, right? They used to have these calendars that they would put out. And for every month, it would be a new person who did something in the civil rights struggle. You know what I'm saying? Just over the years. So, you know, it would be Frederick Douglass is on there, you know, Malcolm X, Martin's on there, you know, Thurgood Marshall, you know, Sojourner Truth, you know, all these, you know, I don't want to leave nobody out, but it would be all these different people, you know what I'm saying? And there was some people used to bother me because some of the people I didn't know who they was. Like I used to see W.E.B. Du Bois on there. I didn't know who he was though. So, you know, coming from our culture, yeah, Elijah's the big bro. So of course we know who he is. But I don't think he's as well known. You know, Martin Luther King is more, you know, international. The Green One said BLM is a Marxist group, according to one of the co-founders. Yeah, that's Marxism. And like I said, that's the angle that they're coming from. You gotta remember that all of these things that's the oppression of society. This was a part of the book that Karl Marx wrote. What was the name of that book that he wrote? That, you know, enumerated the Marxist concepts. D. Christian said they have a tendency to do revisionist history. They hated Pac, Biggie, Marley, Malcolm, even Ali, but nowadays it's a different narrative. See, now listen, when we talking about this topic, like if we was just talking about, you know, if the topic was name some black men, but this is something, you know, when we talking about this particular topic, you know, people who was hated for what they stood for in America, you know, Tupac and Biggie, you know, and then you got Malcolm here, you know, this shouldn't be in the same sentence. This shouldn't be in the same sentence. You know, that's what I'm saying with some of these things. It's like, you know, people get blown out of proportion. Like, no, stop it. And then some things, you know, is probably just my personal way of looking at it. But, you know, Pac spread gang culture all around the world, which is something that they want us to get involved with. You know, you can see clearly because look, when they want to take something out the hood, they take it out. But somehow they can never seem to get at these gangs. That's because they want that level of death, hell, and destruction. But you know, Pac and Biggie in the same sentence with Malcolm talking about civil rights. You know, there's some people that we like. You know, we like them. but that don't mean that they wait, what was this? SW said it was, I was there. I've been running my mouth again today, so I can't. I need you to refresh me on where it is you're talking about. So Jasim said, Bill, on the intersectionality. Young Dub said, y'all listen to Farrakhan tomorrow, right? And the name of the book was Das Capital. The name of Karl Marx's book, you know, halftime put manifesto here, you know, the Communist Manifesto. These things, you know, this is where a lot of these ideas that that the Black Lives Matter organization espouses. Mr. Greenwood said Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrice Cullors said in a newly surfaced video from 2015 that she and her fellow organizers are trained Marxists, making clear their movement's ideological foundation. All right, so SW was talking about he was at the anniversary for the March on Washington, and you know he was there when they started talking about you know, it was about workers' rights and not about civil rights. You understand what I'm saying? You know, this is just the type of narrative, right? That that we aware of that. You gotta realize this is the same tactic that they're gonna try to use in the end. Is that, you know, this wasn't per se about George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery or Breonna Taylor. This was about, you know, general oppression of everyone. Now, Jasim was saying he wanted to speak on, to expand a little bit on the intersectionality. So before I get into that, I'm gonna do a little disclaimer here because you know this is a Hotep channel, and some of the topics I'm about to mention may strike some people as not very Hotepish. But the intersectionality is the idea and concept that all forms of oppression intersect in patriarchy. That there's a that the kind of core value of the patriarchy is control. This is one of the ways we spoke on this the other day, that the white woman has removed herself, right, from white people's slave history. Because if it was about patriarchy, right, then it wasn't about race. So this is where things get funny when you hear people talk about, look, it's not about race, it's about class. Yeah, right. So this is the idea, you know, this is kind of, I guess it's a new feminist idea. You understand what I'm saying? And here's another thing, right? This is where it gets, you know, for me, it's like, yeah, you know, my mind would have to be twisted in order for me to be able to wrap my mind around this. But it also says, right, that if slavery was about patriarchy, right, then the black man is really partners with the white man in oppressing black women and white women. and that the real beef between the black man and the white man is about the white man won out the patriarchal battle on the plantation. And so even though we was friends with him or we was allies with him in oppressing women, right, that he still controlled us, but that was patriarchy and not anything to do with race. And like I said, all the different forms, you know what I'm saying, you know, if you against abortion, see, that's the patriarchy trying to control women's bodies. You understand what I'm saying? You know, if you were receiving some type of anti-gay, you know, prejudice, oppression, you know, that's the patriarchy trying to maintain the nuclear family, right, in this Western kind of paradigm where the man is the head of the household. That all of it intersects in the patriarchy. Catch back up with y'all here. Halftime said a friend of mine, a friend of a friend made a point once. He pointed out that the civil rights movement was about equal opportunity, not equal outcome. The current movement appears to be looking for equal outcome. You know, that's a clever, you know, kind of euphemistic way, you know, a clever kind of euphemistic way, you know, for them to say the same kind of, you know, it's not about race, it's about class type of thing, you know, where you kind of clean it up and wash it up. You understand what I'm saying? But that's false. See, because I mean, what is equal opportunity amount to if we're not measuring it by the outcomes? And what does equal opportunity, you know, without that balance still existing in the outcomes? See, this is a way to back up the analysis to before you did what you did. So you're going to say it's about equal opportunity, right? And you know, everybody can walk in the bank and ask for a loan now. But see, when you say it's about, oh, well, you had the opportunity to walk in the bank, see, but now we can leave the redlining out. Now we can leave, you know, all the urban blight, the benign neglect. We can leave all of that out because you had the opportunity to go to the same school as me, right? You had the opportunity now to get the same education as me, regardless to your situation, right? Was such that how you going to take advantage of that opportunity? So let's look at one of the things now. You're saying equal opportunity is the integration of the schools, right? Okay, so now we got equal opportunity, but what you didn't say is how you put all the brothers and sisters in special ed and how you still control the populations of the schools, right? Through, just like I said, you being locked into certain camps now. You locked into this camp, you got to go to this particular zone school. In fact, D. Christian and Wise, I'm pretty sure that case was in Washington State, was it? It was a case where a woman tried to get her child into a better school in another neighborhood. And they locked her up. There's a statistic that I read one time that said that schools are more segregated now than they was in 1963 or 1954. You know what I'm saying? When they did Brown versus Board of Education. You understand what I'm saying? You know, you can't leave out all those other aspects that, you know, they're looking at your names. You know, if your name is, you know, Brett, you know, you know, Brett Walensky, see, that looks different on the application than Darrell Washington. See, so because we both had an equal opportunity to go to school and then to fill out this application, right? And you didn't have to worry about not being allowed in this building so that you could fill out your application, you're going to say we had equal opportunity. But that's just at the door level. D. Christian said, just touching on when people are haters by wider, when people are hated by a wider society, but over time they are held and accepted to some degree. The names may have not all fitted, but the point was, as mentioned above, you thought that the government hated Biggie? I don't, you know. I mean, he got shot to death. So clearly there was some people out there that they wasn't the most fond of him. But I don't recall him being, you know, in fact, I recall Biggie being amongst the first people that started going on like MTV, the summer type of break stuff. We used to look at it and you know, the whole crowd would be like college age colored kids. Asiatic mathematics, that's a good question. Is this society really patriarchal? Though I don't think it is. Okay, now which society are you talking about? Right? And why don't you think, why do you not think it's patriarchal? Supreme Divine. So Queen Mecca said white women will prevail because of color struckness. Light-skinned women have the upper hand just because of color. Not all men feel this way, light or dark, but truth is truth. All right, we got Universal ALR came in. We from Universal ALR. This is the first time I recall seeing you on the channel. Welcome to the channel. Hit that like button and subscribe. Supreme Divine said, I'm not racing. I'm late though. I mean, I understand these points. You know, so what you say? Black women here call me broke nigga because I'm brown and dingo stuff. What are you talking about? Because you brown. kind of thing is that? Right. Why I said I've heard a few stories about a mother using a different address or zip code for a better school. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. But there was a mother that they locked up because of that. All in the business said you gave us one book for every two children. At times, ratios worse than that. Exactly. You see what I'm saying? So you said, yeah, we in the same school. You know what I'm saying? But look, that was true. That we used to notice that. Like when I was in elementary school, you would get the book, right? And it's like 15 names in it. So it's not just that they giving one book for every two children, but they giving you obsolete information. Especially if you growing up in a certain time where information is growing exponentially. New technologies is coming to the forefront. And you got a book from the 60s. There was a few times where I got a book and I knew some of the people that was in the book. And it was like older people, people at the end of high school. And I'm in elementary with their book. So D. Christian said this happened in Akron, Ohio. So I was off about it happening in Washington State. Or maybe another one did happen there, but he said D. Christian said it was Akron, Ohio. Universal said peace there. We from Universal. Josh Sim said an into what is known today as a knowledge economy. Exactly. But you growing up, learning, reading from a book that has obsolete knowledge in it. Yeah, this is a new thing they started doing now. T was mentioning that, in New York, sometimes you have, 5 schools in one building. Like there's certain schools, like Evander Childs, it was Evander Childs High School. But now they've changed the name to Evander Childs Campus. So within that school, right, you got 5 different schools and they probably take up this one floor or one part of the building. Well, I say, yeah, he experienced that too, where he gets a book and the book is crazy old. He said also they put him in a special ed class from middle all the way till I took myself out in high school. You see what I'm saying? I didn't even know that that's when special ed got invented. Like I'm sure it was always probably some specialized instruction for kids that wasn't as fast as everybody else. But special ed was started as the classes to put black people in now that they forced to come, that they forced to allow them into the same school with the white kids. This is a way to still maintain the separation, right? But you want to say that this is equality of opportunity. Universal is from the desert, right? Shout out to the desert. Asiatic Mathematics said, I'm talking about the patriarchal societies in reference to, I asked him what society he was talking about. I'm talking about Western society, the states, in particular, I don't think it's patriarchal because the colored man doesn't keep the colored woman apart from social equality. Um, I don't understand what you mean right there. All right, exactly. She has an advantage in a lot of ways. I think an example of patriarchy would be the Arab world. Um, um, I all right, original seed. Let me think about this for a second. Uh, I mean, first of all, first thing I would like to say though is that this is not really what patriarchy is about. When you say he doesn't keep the colored woman apart from social equality, um, I would say he does. You know, but even that is not necessarily what the patriarchy is about. Remember, archy, right, is that means govern, like monarchy. So patriarchy means that it's governed by the men. I teach that I remember my grandmother used to teach special ed and was so proud of her student because he became a rapper. You out there in 40 P's, Universal was out in 40 P's. Uh, so we get a chance to talk about out there a lot. We got another brother that's out there, on near God Brewer, God Cyber Divine. He probably come in the room before we wrap it. Why I said the color man has historically kept his woman apart from his social equality. Yeah, I mean it's still something to be said for the fact, right, that there's not really a female Bill Gates. Because ultimately a lot of those things that they say is inequality between men and women, that's for white women that's in the corporate setting. You know what I'm saying? Because the average job, that I see at least, when I see original people, like where's the masses of the look, if you work at the McDonald's, everybody get the same money. The vast majority of jobs that you see original people dealing with, you get paid by the position. You cashier, you get the money that a cashier makes. So this disparity in income is when you get to that level where you got women doing business, but none of them is even close to Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Mark Zuckerberg. Now, where I will agree with you at though is on the family level. On a family level, the breakdown of the family and just the way the court system works with the custody and things of that nature, right? I can see you saying that America is a matriarchal society. because that's left women in control of governing a lot of the kind of social aspects of society. You know what I mean? Things that, it wasn't cool to do, like as a little kid, things that wasn't cool, you know, women kind of have a different sensibility. You understand what I'm saying? Like what they think, how they look at things, and kind of what's acceptable. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a little bit different than how the patriarchy sees masculinity. Yeah, Sincere Shakima came in. So yeah, one thing Sincere Shakima, hold on, let me take a minute off here. And look, I'm gonna do a disclaimer, because this is a Hotep channel. So I don't want people to think that I'm singling Sincere Shakima out here. But I'm glad that y'all finally decided to report the real numbers, Sincere Shakima. I noticed you haven't spoken on that. That y'all finally started reporting the real numbers out in California. Sincere Shakima was a part of the propaganda that there were no cases in California. Now look at you. What say you, Sincere Shakima? See that I'm still Hotep. That was equal. That's an equal opportunity question. Man, Calm Islamly. See, look, I gotta do the disclaimer here before I read Calm Islamly. Before I read Calm Islamly's statement here, I gotta do a disclaimer that this comment does not necessarily reflect the views of the Random Jewels channel. Calm Islamly says men work harder and longer hours than women in the corporate world. That's why they dominate top positions and get higher salaries. And you're gonna get in big trouble, man. Don't put nothing like that on Facebook or Twitter, because you'll get banned. I don't know, they might ban you. They're gonna start doing your comments like Queen Mecca. You keep talking like that. This is where you at. This is where you at right now. I'm gonna show you where you at with that comment. See, with that comment, you right there right now. Teetering at the edge. You may get canceled. you may get canceled, Carl. you might get canceled, man. Telling you, man. Telling you. Yeah. Sincere Shakima, it's no Guinness virus in the state of California. Remember that? 793rd said Texas and California fronting and have the nerve to have comparable numbers on charts, knowing they ain't really reporting all their cases. That's what they do, man. D. Christian wants y'all to know, for the record, He loves Mother Earth. That's how we do. Me and D Christian, we a couple of hoteps. I can't get me, man. Fall into the servant mound. Possible. Very possible. But yeah, you teetering on the edge of being canceled. Talking about men work harder than women in the corporate, in the corporate, in the corporate world. Now, since Shakim, it's time for the whole state of California to come clean. Okay, see, now she's changing. She's saying no. She said the number of deaths is low. Now Y makes up most of the deaths. Now, the great sunshine state of California needs to just go ahead and come clean and say how many cases you really got. Seven 93rd says man has the highest level of understanding for the earth so much. Have that loop of them working on their satellite which stays on my laptop screen so can see her move and move around her. So y'all gonna get canceled with these kind of statements. That's what's about to happen. Miss Longley. So listen, just for this show, every statement from Calm Islamly is I want to put a blanket disclaimer up right now that Calm Islamly's views may not reflect the views of the Random Jews channel. Calm Islamly said the corporate world is highly competitive. Women aren't going to get extra points just off the strength that they are women. There was that lady. What was the lady's name? She was running for president, I think she ran in 2016. And she was saying that, that she didn't feel like she was very pretty, but that she felt like she had great legs. And she said, she used to go into the meetings and nobody used to pay her any mind. But then she started wearing the mini skirts and then suddenly everybody wanted to know what she had to say and who she was. So, that's, I guess, anecdotal. See, why do you know so much about the New York number, Shakima, but you can't tell me what the number in California is? This is where we need to go. This universal truth came in the building. Yeah, that's they look. They about to put a number sign on Calm Islam League. That's going to be the new hashtag. Is going to come out. Number sign cancel Calm Islam League. The Christian said, as the fellow good Hotep brother, would somebody would say somebody better lower the honors. Atif is saying most of the deaths from the COVID-19 was in nursing homes or long-term care facilities. So Calm Islam, you remember the lady that she was running for president, and she said that her, real key to success in the business world was wearing miniskirts. Universal said New York is low for now. Look at the rest of the country and the tourists coming here. I mean, I don't doubt that aspect of it. Nah. What is this here you talking about? You got that chicken.
Huh?
You got that one. I was getting ready to go to that place. Shakima says it's steady, but no one is testing as much out there. It's the difference with having it and dying from it. Look my back. Yeah.
Got my money, please.
Sincere Shakima says because her God is in New York, as if that somehow changes the vicious lies being told by California. I'm not exactly sure, who this guy is. But if he's espousing these same type of ideas about New York, then we might have to discuss. We might have to have a discussion about traitors. Yeah, that was her name. Calm is lonely. Carly Fiorina. Came up off miniskirts. Infinite Satisfaction said today's mathematics is understanding. Understanding is the fruit or results of living my way of life. Our self-Lord and Master, or I sincerely love Allah's mathematics. It says also is accepting W. What's W? It is 793rd. Self-deprivation. Oh man, she's over there. I know what she's trying to do.
South Carolina Hooper.
All right. But this says 6,314 deaths in California. So you're not giving up this what is this? What do you call this kind of thing? So hold on, man. I see where it has to go. I think we're teetering. We've teetered a little closer here. So we might have to look over We might have to look over the ledge here. There's I have to check this out now. But I'm, because everyone is teetering so close to the edge. Collins Normally said there was recently an author who encouraged women in the corporate world to use their sex appeal to get ahead, and she got flack for it from the Me Too crowd. Infinite Satisfaction said, understanding is accepting things for what they are. I can't change the past, and I am the designer of my future. I'm trying to tell you, you said that's how you know about now why. And of course, research. Yeah, I don't know this guy's research. What kind of research he's doing here. All right now. Oh yeah, I've got everything prepared now. I suggest everyone back up from the ledge. I suggest everyone back up from the ledge before I have to show you what's on the other side. Well, I said I just noticed there's a lot of brothers with the name Universal. You know, that's how I ended up with the name Darkim. You know, I didn't want a name, you know, with certain names that came kind of built in, you know, with I don't want to say fame, but there were certain names that, you know, if your name was Justice, Scientific, K-Born, even Wise, you know what I'm saying? Those was names that you know, universal. Every block that you went on, it was a supreme, you know, and so it was like it would always be, well, you know, supreme with supreme. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted a name that, you know, I could build it up, and you know, to this day, it's one other Darkim that, but he's from like back in the days, and he's the only person I ever really heard about where when I said my name, people was like, the brother that I know to have that name is not you. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, you know, I'm Darkim. You know, whoever else, if they come with that name now, they never. I ain't gonna say never, but they're gonna have a ways to go to come out from the shadow of what I created in that name. You understand what I'm saying? You know, the way people look at you when you say that name now, you know, look, even my son can tell you, it means something. Collins Lonely said a lot of people go back and forth from Florida to New York. I don't see how our numbers are going to remain low. 10% of the country got it at this point, maybe more. I mean, in terms of, you know, you can't hide from things that's in the air. Universal said, my name has been universal since Bill Understanding. Got that name picked up for 35 years. I'm to blow your head off. All right. Infinite at the J-O. Infinite at the J-O-B, laying it down. Sincere Shakima said, is it true about Black Lives Matter being backed up by a white man? Said white man's name is George Soros. Wise universal understanding. I got it all. Yeah, that's like a whole packet of names right there. That was quite popular. You know, I got a question for wise universal understanding. You a black seed or a yellow seed? Supreme Divine put shaped right here. What do you mean shaped? L. Lowry. What's the other L brother, man? I liked it better when we had the L brothers, man. L. Lowry said the numbers keep rising. 793 said they keep trying to throw around the same billionaire. They keep trying to throw around the same billionaire around. Yet there are all types of millionaires and billionaires, capitalists in the cut in reality. So possibly one you choose more of a scapegoat. All right. So wise you is the yellow seed, because you know that's also something that's very prevalent, is that you had a lot of black seed brothers that would be named understanding, and a lot of yellow seed brothers that would be named knowledge. Like that was just always something that was funny to the 5%. You know, back at that time. Wise said my name is Wise Prince of Love. Prince isn't as common as King. Hmm. Maybe not. I would have to think on that one. Of course, I know a lot of princes. Yeah, Shakim, you stay away from that propaganda. But you know, y'all got me into talking about this thing now. I want to talk about, you know, look, even in terms of Sincere Shakim, you just brought up Soros being behind Black Lives Matter, right? You know, what would what would what would you replace what would you replace you know, the things that Black Lives Matter has accomplished, what would you replace it with? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying, okay, you find out they're backed by George Soros, right? So
we were driving down, and I saw a lot of lights,
so
and there must have been an accident.
should they
There must
let
be a lot of police cars up there. Look at all the lights. As I got closer, I couldn't even drive anymore because the lights were.
should they let should they let Chauvin out of jail? You know, should they you know, let the cop that shot Breonna Taylor 10 times, should they give him his job back? Wise brought a point right here. What about the white people that you know, they made coalitions with the Black Panthers? You know, should we look at the Black Panthers, right, in the same light as Black Lives Matter because of Richard Aoki? You do know who Richard Aoki is, Sincere Shakim. Well, anyone really could answer that. You know, should we, you know, not look at the accomplishments of the Black Panthers because of Richard Aoki? Josh Sim said Richard Aoki was on some baloney though. Yeah, but you know, my question is still the same. Him being on baloney, right? Do we say that, you know, the Black Panthers, you know, I guess maybe they're not so heroic because of the participation of Richard Aoki? I'm asking a serious question, Sincere Shakira. This is, I told you, I lead the propaganda. Y'all got me caught up in that propaganda. I have to steer the ship back to thinking in terms of pro-righteousness, anti-establishment, and being on the wrong side of history. Right. See, now why I said if we getting rid of Black Panthers, that means no free breakfast and no free clinics in the hood. Now that's my point. Do we throw away those good things that happen because of Richard Aoki? You can see ultimately you can say, yeah, you know, all that was just a setup for them to give the kids GMO food in the morning. You know, that's why they went along with that. And this is how you conspiracy people sound to me. It's ridiculous. Well, let me not say that maybe I don't think that sounds ridiculous. Why somebody say, exactly, God? Lowry said no, we shouldn't throw that away. So wait, since Shakim, are you saying yes, we should throw away the free breakfast and free clinics? Bam! This is how power right here. See, now people we thinking now. We thinking now. 793rd said, you know, that what I'm saying would be like giving less props and respect to Harriet Tubman due to all the colored people in the Underground Railroad who were killed for their participation. Oh, you mean, yes, you do know who Richard Ayoki is. You know about his participation. You know about what he got to do with the Black Panthers, right? See, this is what I'm saying, that, to me, Black Lives Matter is yeah, I'm pretty sure he was Japanese, something like that. Or is, I think he's still alive. Lowry said all contributions count. Looking at them, are we just looking at them, any group, right? And we judging them based on the group and not what different individuals are doing. Where you really measuring is people dealing with righteousness or devilishment, and that's why you judge them. See, because listen, I'm from the 80s. Like, see, you got Universal, right? 83. You know what I'm saying? Look, at once upon a time, we was looked at a certain way as an entire group. That if you said you was a 5%, people automatically affiliated you with a certain set of behavior. And there was a lot of brothers that, that had nothing to do with them. So you judging them on how you feel about the group, right? You judging them on how you feel about the group and not each individual and whether they doing righteousness or devilishment. So now you're prejudging. Well, I said I wouldn't put Black Lives Matter with the Black Panther Party, but they do good. Well, I'm not so keen on the Black Panthers. I mean, I got big respect for them, but there's actually quite a few flaws in the Black Panthers. For me, up at the top of the list is that one of your founding members is a rapist. I've never heard of that before, where a group of young brothers get together and any white, black, Chinese, and a founding member is a rapist. They're kind of, they appear to be rather color struck too. Like for all this, black this, black that, they sure did like some half white women over there. Eldridge Cleaver Well, what are you saying is the founder? Eldridge Cleaver was one of the founding members. You know, I see what you're saying in terms of Huey P. Newton and a politician. They the two very first members. But I'm saying Eldridge Cleaver came in at the point that it's still supposed to be a hard dozen. I'm doing too much talking today because I lost track of what you're saying right there. Right. Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale was the founders, but I'm saying they still had to put a group of people together in order to execute their plan. And Eldridge Cleaver was one of those first people. You know, just put a he's look, Allah is the founder, but we got something called a first. In them, right? You know, they're college kids. He's coming out of jail. You know, all of that is very suspect to me. Of young men start, old men for that matter, there's always a kind of integrity thing there. You know, that's why we sticking together. Like, look, we going out here in a situation with guns against the police. You know, people got to be a certain type of person, right? Islami said Black Lives Matter is all about that intersectionality stuff he was building on earlier. That is their philosophy at the end of the day. Al-Lari said everything man is involved with has flaws, but that doesn't mean it's all bad. Yeah, but those flaws, they just very contradictory to me. Well, as you said, what about the black and brown seeds? I mean, who's the black or brown seed that, you know, where you see them at is in the pictures, you know, where they having the meetings and they doing the black fist in the air. Or you see them, you know, giving out the food. But when it comes to the leadership, Kathleen Cleaver, what's the other name? Elaine Brown, you know, the women that they sent out there to speak for them, they half white. Y'all can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Yeah, Black Messiah was a black seed. Lowry said Huey became compromised once he got hooked on the drugs. I'm not sure when he got hooked on the drugs. And then at the end of the day, right, just what I'm saying too about being on the wrong side of history. Like you have to, yeah, Angela Davis, you know what I'm saying, all light skin. At least Angela and Asada, I wouldn't say they half white, but they love them some light skinned women's. But I'm saying on some level, right? Doesn't it seem a little bit like Uncle Ruckus? Like for you to just be like, I'm against the things that Black Lives Matter is doing right now. Like call them out for the things that you feel like, okay, you trying to eat something under the table. Call them out for that. But I mean, are you going to be on? Are you going to be on? Imagine they film this. Just it was a brother that used to always tell us that, brother named Positive Influence, that everything is being recorded on audio and videotape. Now, let's just say they got the drone out there and the drone is filming you. At this point in time in history right now, right? Do you want to be on audio and videotape saying, all lives matter, blue lives matter, I'm not with Black Lives Matter, whatever the case, yeah, you might have your reasons. But sometimes you got to just take it to the old school, how our parents taught us, man. If you ain't got nothing good to say, just don't say nothing. But see, as much as I'm against what they ultimately stand for, I'm not against what they're saying about Black Lives Matter and about the reasons why that idea and concept has to come to the forefront. Well, I said it was always suspicious that they went after Huey Hard, but Bobby now teaches out of college. Listen, I see that about quite a few people in Asada Secure. You understand what I'm saying? In terms of what Asada's, what she got to deal with right now, right? You know, being in Cuba every couple of years, they send the warrant squad out for, and there's lots of other people who was there, and they come on, Fox and CNN and all of this, and speak freely, even about the things that they did. Yeah, a lot of flood. Those type of floods can crush everything. And see, the the Black Panthers, right, is also like when you see these different feminist writings on the Black man, right? The Black Panthers is kind of like case studies of Black masculinity, kind of in full form. You know what I mean? And so a lot of these, let me not go all the way and say deviant, but a lot of these behaviors that they had has become what they call it now, the toxic masculinity. But these was really flaws in these individuals. It's not things that's necessarily common to the original men. So L. Lowry said he got hooked in the 90s. Nah, he would start wilding out before that. You know, I would say at that point where China became a gangster. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't want to be Uncle Records right now. You know, 7 and 8/3. This is just not the time to, you know, like if that's the case, okay, that's fine and good. But this is not the time. Now listen, this is the line specifically, Wise. This is the line specifically, L. Lowry, where Wise points out right here, when I read Soul on Ice, which is Eldridge Cleaver's book. Eldridge Cleaver said he practiced raping black women so that once he perfected his craft, right, he could get his real prize, which was the white woman. And that he thought it was cool to practice on the black women because nobody cared about them. To me, that's a little too flawed. You know, you disqualified. Thanks, friends. If you want to make a donation or something to the cause, man, but nah, man, you ain't going nowhere with me. This conversation is over. Call Christopher Cox is on Facebook. He asked, "What am I watching?" You're now tuned in with the Christ. Darkim Be AllahChrist. Turn no cheeks. Yeah, D Christian, yeah, that's sick and psychotic. And I'm saying, how do you become cool with somebody like that? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's different things, you know what I'm saying? You might be sitting around, brother, be like, yo, I did this before, I did that before. Like, once I know you did that, turn no cheeks, Jackson. That's the other Christ. Well, I said he was the minister of information. What was the minister's job in the Wisdom Builder Group? You see what I'm saying? You know, I never liked that title right there either. Like, am I the only one that, you know, I don't want to hang with, I don't want to be around somebody who's the minister of information? You hang around with the minister of information, you're going to jail. Yeah. D. Christian said, how do you explain, you know, Eldridge Cleaver's, how do you explain his what's the name to his kids? And I'm going to tell you another thing. Did y'all know that Eldridge Cleaver became a Republican. He supported Ronald Reagan. How many people knew that? Now, Larry said, well, where does that put Kathleen Cleaver? It puts Kathleen Cleaver as somebody that grates on my nerves every time I hear her speaking about some type of feminism. You know, anytime I hear any of these Panther women, you know, speaking on you know, toxic masculinity, is that Joe. And now mind you, if you read their story, she met Eldridge Cleaver. He came as a speaker to her college. And after meeting him that time, you know, however long he was there at the college, you know, I don't think it was more than a day or two, she moved back to California with him and married him. And now you're trying to extrapolate that out as normal behavior. Real Hip Hop just came in. He asked me if I don't like feminism. Real Hip Hop, you should know by now, this is a Hotep channel. It's very, very Hotep. You know, I put a disclaimer before I spoke on feminism. That's what you missed today. I had to do a disclaimer. Right? Universal said peace. Real Hip Hop said which one. See, this is I gotta do a disclaimer. I gotta do another disclaimer. Real Hip Hop's posts may not reflect the views of the Random Jews channel. Well, I say you can't hear. Can everyone else hear? Anyone? Bueller? Real Hip Hop though, you know, on his own, you know, without the approval of the Hotep Network. Real Hip Hop asks, what's wrong with feminazism? I mean, it's too radical. It's too radical. Right, 793rd, know what I'm talking about. Kathleen Cleaver moved to California. Mind you, her college was in Tennessee. So it's not like She was in USC, and then she moved to UCLA with him. You know, she was in Tennessee. Carl Christopher Cox. Where you from, Carl Christopher? Triple C's. Real Hip Hop said Antifa is too radical too. I mean, I don't think it's radical as you know, feminazism or whatever you call it. There, I don't think it's the same. All right, Carl Christopher Cox said he's just outside Buffalo. Shout out to Buffalo. Peace City guy Saladin up there doing his thing. Although the business said no loose lips. Sail a tight ship. Shaquem said feminism brings forth division. In my opinion. Patriotic mathematics said almost anything that has ism in it is going to have a lot of flaws. And why is that? I think I know. Real Hip Hop said what's wrong with Jezebels and Sapphires. Well, yeah, talking about Jezebels and Sapphires. Jezebels and Sapphires just want to make men happy. You know, Asiatic mathematics to expand on his answer here. Almost anything that has ism in it is going to have a lot of flaws. I guess it depends on what kind of ism. But call Christopher Cox. Who brings you on the channel? Anyone? Bueller? Oh man, real hip hop. I gotta put you under. I gotta put you on it. This is for this entire episode of this video. Real hip hop comments may not reflect the views of the Reverend Jewish channel. As you said, Christopher Cox, you usually listen to podcasts or just surfing. Asiatic mathematics said ism is to be religious about an idea that's usually how the suffix is used. Yeah, that's pretty similar to what I was thinking. You know what I mean? Is that once you deal with isms, you know what I'm saying, or just the same thing when I'm saying about the topic, what I was saying about, the words and the names of it. When you're dealing with isms, you're dealing with is really well, most of the time you're talking about something it might be one idea, but within that idea, right, it's a whole bunch of ideas uh, that's manifested in the big idea. See, so say if you if you uh, if you deal with Marxism, there's certain things about hating making money that you just despise. So if you got these ideas that you're not even taking the time to research them, and you feeling one way or the other about them, uh, that's definitely, what was the term you used here? That's definitely something that's going to lead to multiple flaws. Real Hip Hop said Cardi B and Lizzo are successful because they make a lot of money. Okay, I don't really know who Lizzo is. Seen the name around, but I don't know who she is. But what's this about too? Real Hip Hop. How'd you bring up Cardi B and Lizzo making a lot of money? Cardi B's a feminist? Maybe that in mathematics. You can put ism behind almost any word. Yeah, there's people that deal with YouTubeism. You know, that's what happens when you become a big YouTuber. Real hip hop said Lizzo sings and plays a flute while twerking. She is a symbol of modern feminist agenda. Sings and plays a flute while twerking. Probably a hard act to follow. Trying to catch up in the comments. But at the end of the day, man, I guess we had a good little session. You know, I told you I gotta give him a rest because tomorrow we turn it all the way back up. Had a whole set of brothers that I didn't see yesterday. You know how we roll. But if you made it this far with me, click the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Um, Tomorrow, I'm probably gonna do a little broadcasting from the memorial. Just real quick, does anybody have any questions before we take this down? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Right, call Cox. Yeah, you gotta check me out. I come on live five, 6 times a week. So yeah, check me out. Have some good topics on here. Maybe one day we will be ready to add on. So if we can, I got your number in my what's the name? So Jocelyn looked up Islam. It says distinctive doctrine, theory, or practice originating in the 1670s. Infinite satisfaction. Says he has a question. Yeah, I gotta go plug that joint in. But I'm gonna hit you as soon as I get off this live right here. Infinite Satisfaction said COINTELPRO took down most of our organizations in the 60s. Okay. How did question is COINTELPRO took down most of our organizations in the 60s. How did the 5% overcome COINTELPRO? Because we're not Masonic. See what I'm saying? See, Allah didn't have any parts of the knowledge that he was holding over the heads of the people. So see, we all could do exactly what he did. You know what I'm saying? The other thing is just the tactics of these investigative people, you know what I'm saying? Whether you took them, the CIA or FBI, they try to put together the pieces. They try to put together the pieces in they try to put together the pieces of what occurred in certain ways. Like they look for where the flow of money is going. They're looking for, who's paying how much to who. And the 5% is not like that. See, as they was doing their investigation, they couldn't really figure out, who was the boss. You know what I'm saying? And, especially you gotta remember there was a time too, right? When all of the brothers who was around in the 60s, a lot of them didn't know each other yet. Not from being 5% anyway. You see what I'm saying? When Allah came out of Madawan and they start having the rallies, that's when everybody started knowing, who everybody is. Prince Hall did his thing, but his method of teaching became obsolete when Nobuju Ali and Elijah Muhammad and these type of dudes took it to another level. Right? Infinite said cut off one head and two more. Yeah, exactly. You see what I'm saying? We can't be destroyed like that by you doing something to one person. You know what I'm saying? And we got, you know, that's something about, you know, for good or bad, you know, people talk about how we conducted ourselves in the cipher. You know what I mean? In terms of everything being subject to shown and proven, to be shown and proven, like, you know, it was going to be hard for you to infiltrate the cipher. You know, the brothers that I grew up with, we all knew each other. Like, not just from having the knowledge, like, brothers knew each other. Like, yeah, before we both got the knowledge, we both came into high school, you know, same year. But, I actually know him from elementary. You know, I hadn't seen him in a minute. Then when I started seeing him again, it was amongst the guys. You understand what I'm saying? And, you know, the way it was, you know, if you wasn't able to show and prove, right? A lot of things that would happen in the cipher, you got to realize that's not very conducive to being infiltrated. Like, if you're going to come around and we don't know you, you know what I'm saying, and you're going to be put on the hot seat, you know, and then if you don't, you know, you're not successful in that situation, where it can go to, this is not something that, you know, you're going to be able to get a lot of agents to come amongst us like that. But yeah, that was a good question. But like I said, I'll be catching up to y'all tomorrow. Like I said, most likely I'm gonna do a little live from the memorial. It might end up being on Instagram. Can't really call that yet. But I see y'all tomorrow. It's, fortunately, we didn't have to show what's on the other side of this rock face here.